But I call Joey Grandpa Gangster for a reason, because he's not intimidating to me. So honestly, I think it's pretty evenly matched between Vernon and Joey. Happy Sunday, my fellow Beyond the Gates viewers. It's time for the Sunday preview that I like to do, and then I will read some of your comments, although I don't know if I will do too much today. Feeling a little under the weather, but let's get to the preview first. The preview starts with it seems like Tyrell and Jessica are making out in Tyrell's room. Good to see the teens on this show being teens, especially since they're like 18. I feel like that is long overdue for the couple of Tyrell and Jessica, honestly. But then we also get Samantha giving Smitty and Martin hell for their hypocrisy that it's okay that Tyrell can be unsupervised in his room with Jessica when it was such a big problem for Samantha. Smitty and Martin have showed a double standard, taking care of a girl rather than a guy. That's being brought up again. I still think they could have given us more drama out of that storyline for Samantha in the past with that little player boy from the school or whatever he was that was trying to use Samantha for sex. They kind of just dropped it. But we're picking back up with the teen scene. Maybe the teen scene's actually going to get good again since the cotillion is getting closer. I hope so, because some of the older characters on the show, pretty sick of seeing them. Next in the preview is Dani walking in on Tomas and Vanessa chatting, and Dani asking them what the hell is going on at the law firm. I'm assuming Tomas and Vanessa are having a chat about Lynette, so maybe Dani will actually get involved with that Lynette Randy storyline where Haley is concerned. That would kind of be nice to see. I mean, there are definitely certain characters that should be a part of Haley's downfall. Tomas and Vanessa, and Kat for that matter, are not those characters. It should be Dani and Naomi front and center for Haley's downfall when it all comes out that she's a scam artist. So I like to see that Dani is being brought into it. Next, speaking of Bill, we see him having a coughing fit while eating with Haley. I don't know if he's having a coughing fit or if he's choking while eating with Haley. I don't know if this is supposed to be the poison actually having an effect. That's something we never see with the poison storyline, and it's a part of the reason why it has kind of just fallen flat over the months, because there's only so many times we can see Haley poisoning Bill and it goes absolutely nowhere. So I don't know if this is the poison, but with this show it's probably just Bill choking. It's probably just a fake out, because everything with this show is a fake out. Next up is Nicole telling Ted that they had an amazing run. Ted says that he misses those two people, and she says that she does too. It's their anniversary and all. Ted and Nicole looking mighty close for their anniversary. What sucks about this in the preview for me is thinking back a year ago when it was Ted and Nicole's big anniversary party. We actually had a storyline building up so huge to that anniversary. The whole truth coming out about Leslie and Eva. We had a payoff to that storyline. We had a climax to that storyline. And here we are this year, going into May sweeps. No big story really building. I guess you can consider Bill and Haley maybe being the big story this year for May sweeps. But they're kind of limping along now that Lynette has disappeared from that storyline. But anyway, I'm not on board for the Nicole and Ted reunion yet. If the writing was better, if they can make me actually care about them getting back together, if I really thought that Ted had earned getting back together with Nicole, maybe I would feel differently. And I know there's some people in the comments that I have seen, and I don't know if I marked them to talk about today, but they say that Ted and Nicole have chemistry. I don't see it. They have friend chemistry to me, but romantically, I don't see it quite like some others maybe do. And I consider myself a good eye for chemistry. So sorry, I'm not feeling Nicole and Ted like that. They have a long way to go in that story. It's way too soon for that. Next up is Martin telling Kat that she can be so damn stubborn, and she tells him that he can be such a hypocrite. I don't know why Martin and Kat are going at it again. It seems like for Kat, they're writing for Kat. If it's not in a rivalry with Eva, then it's Kat having an argument with somebody else, whether she's bickering with Chelsea, bickering with Tomas, bickering with Martin. I still wish we could have better storylines for Kat, and I'll leave it at that, but we'll see if it's actually going to lead to something dramatic between Martin and Kat. One can hope. And lastly, is Vernon telling Anita that he will have to handle Joey himself, and then Vernon has a sit down with Grandpa Gangster, and Joey says that Martin owes him and one day he will collect, and then Vernon tells Joey to leave his grandson alone. So kind of getting a Vernon versus Joey. Some people have made comments that like they don't buy Vernon stepping to Joey, but I call Joey Grandpa Gangster for a reason because he's not intimidating to me. So honestly, I think it's pretty evenly matched between Vernon and Joey, even though Vernon is going to only have empty threats. It would be nice to see a character have some real threats against Joey. Not even Leslie has real threats against Joey, because Joey allegedly has some blackmail on Leslie, even though they only talked about that one whole time. So hoping for a better week than this past week. There's only 3 episodes coming up this week because of soccer. It will be kind of a nice break because the show's been extremely boring as of late. So, I mean, it's going to be hard to be as boring as this past week. But Michelle and Tracy are probably going to try their best because either they try and be boring or they are very lazy co-head writers. Let's go to some of y'all comments. James was giving me crap for calling one of the storylines a slow burn, which I was just trying to be nice. But James says a slow burn is not how to characterize a Beyond the Gates storyline. Beyond the Gates storylines don't even smolder. If Smokey the Bear happened upon an unattended Beyond the Gates storyline in the forest, he'd probably spit on it, kick a little dust over it, and keep it moving. Beyond the Gates is like King Minos' maze, but instead of encountering the dreaded Minotaur, a more horrifying monster awaits. A smiling Michelle Valjean asking, well, how do you like the show so far? I mean, this was a great comment. I mean, I think it's a good description of Beyond the Gates storylines. I think it's a good description of Michelle Valjean lately. I mean, I can't dispute that. These storylines do not smolder. They kind of limp to an ending, except there's actually no ending. Like, you think it's an exit, but you go through the door and there's just more hallway, and then you see another exit, and it's more hallway, and the story keeps going, but you're limping the whole time. You just want to get out of the storyline, and you can't. Next in the comments is Pam Allen, who says, tell them to hurry up and bring Lynette back. Nobody wants to see a friendship between Vanessa and Leslie. Yeah, since Lynette's been gone, we've had the most boring episodes the show has ever had. And on top of that, that whole Vanessa trying to befriend Leslie was weird, seemed out of place, just made Vanessa more trash. Another strange idea from this show. Ed the Bank said, Vanessa just looked ridiculous trying to play nice with Leslie because she wants to be able to talk about Joey without getting pushback. It honestly always seems like everything Vanessa does these days is to try and get people to approve of Joey and see that Joey is actually a great guy. And I'll never understand why. And the storyline honestly kind of doesn't even make sense if you go back to the beginning of how the storyline started, but who has the time for that? I don't have the time for that. Next up is Pam Allen again, who says, like you said, it's overkill with Vanessa declaring her love for Joey over and over, then insisting everyone else should love him as she does. She shows no interest at all in her children. No wonder Deanna hates her. Deanna has every right to hate Vanessa. She does put Joey in front of everything. Marty B said, I think Lynette's disappearance is just to lure Haley into a false sense of security, thinking she's gone for good. If she is being held hostage, she's clever enough to escape and become an even bigger threat to Haley and Randy. She might even be in on it if she believed what Randy said about Haley. I refuse to believe the writers are that stupid to just end Lynette's character in this ridiculous way. I mean, I could believe that the writers would end that story in a ridiculous way and get rid of an actual good character that can be dynamic. Marty B, trying to give the benefit of the doubt here. I wish I could feel the same, but I've lost faith in the writers. But Marty B also says the Joey gushing over Vanessa slash Vanessa gushing over Joey scenes have got to stop. I think I'd rather see the rent-a-cop and plasma ring scenes instead. We can turn it into a game guessing what idiotic thing will Jacob do this week. As poorly written as the Impaler storyline has been, I do think it's better than watching Vanessa and Joey, but honestly, that's not saying much. Raymond Christian said, I agree they are putting way too many emphasis on Vanessa and Joey's relationship. Now Vanessa is doing this tour of wanting people to approve of her relationship with Joey. Vanessa's a grown woman. If she wants to be with Joey, then be with Joey. But in no way this should be a front burner storyline. Yeah, agree. Raymond also says, what about the cotillion? They made it like this thing that was a big deal, only for them to push it to the back burner. If they weren't serious about it, why even bother with it? I mean, it seems like the cotillion's supposed to be our main event, but yeah, it's on the back burner, moving extremely slowly while we have to watch Vanessa and Joey have the same exact conversations over and over. Harriet Smallwood said, I guess I will skip today's episode. I actually did fall asleep during the middle of yesterday's. I don't understand why there's such a heavy focus on Vanessa. It's been the question all week, and I'm not surprised you fell asleep in the middle of an episode this past week. I would say 4 out of the 5 were like the most boring episodes that this show has maybe ever had to date. Linda Price said, wow, Bill is actually dumber than a box of rocks, and that's an insult to a box of rocks. The way they write Bill, he really is dumber than a box of rocks. A lot of y'all's comments, either how sucky Vanessa is over this past week or how dumb Bill is over this past week. Both things very true. Devin said, dumbass Bill should have got a prenup, some freaking lawyer he is. I mean, great point. He's supposed to be a lawyer, and yet no prenup. I don't think they could try and write Bill any dumber. Tree G says, Bill is a big disappointment. Yeah, I don't know at what point they decided to make him as dumb as they have. But I honestly think it was a mistake. And it just shows how plot-driven the Haley storyline is. Because it has to be plot-driven if Bill has to be this dumb for it to work. NYC Law Lady said, this episode was like watching the paint dry. As far as Shanice and Ted are concerned, it's just a matter of time before it implodes. Ted is waiting for an end to get back with Nicole. Shanice is giving desperation. It does seem as though Ted is waiting for an end to get back with Nicole. And he might get it this coming week for their little anniversary. Hemi, who is much like me and never afraid to share an honest opinion, says, don't care about Grayson getting stabbed. Barely know who he is. I was never a fan of Ted and Shanice, and I hope that relationship comes to an end. She deserves better. I really hope they don't revisit the Martin and Kenny stuff. If they do, then that's just lazy writing. They need to stop avoiding addressing Doug's death. It's been long overdue. I agree on pretty much all points. I mean, yeah, Grayson being the big victim of the stabbing, it's hard to be invested in that because he's such a new character who they really haven't dived that much into. In fact, they've made him be a mysterious character for so long. So how are we supposed to be invested in that? I know Hemi has never liked Ted and Shanice. She's always said that. The whole revisiting Martin and Kenny stuff, I kind of get it because they always left it open-ended, especially with Joey and Martin owing Joey for that. So I understand why that's coming back up so much. But I definitely agree it's time to address Doug's death and how it really happened. Let me look for a few more comments for this week. Barbara Gregg said, Smitty complaining to Martin about honesty between partners is ludicrous since Smitty is working undercover. I felt the same way. he was being a big hypocrite this past week was Smitty. Barbara Gregg also said, will Ashley wash Grayson's bloody clothes using Tide? That could be our next commercial, Barbara Gregg. Lamont Bradford said or asked, why didn't Grayson go upstairs to the ER? He was a fool walking to Ashley's, losing more blood. It was such an extreme thing for them to have Grayson to do, and I get why they did it, because they want people to be more invested in Grayson and Ashley, and it's supposed to be a great General Hospital-like storyline. But it was so unrealistic, and the scenes on Friday, in my opinion, between Grayson and Ashley fell flat, that I don't think it worked. Let's see. Anna Rose 2399 said, I would have preferred Jacob being attacked and put into a multi-season coma because he gives less than Tomas. Oof. Well, if people are thinking that Jacob is giving less than Tomas, then Jacob must be failing a lot. Let's see. Another Pam Allen comment. You're popular this week, Pam Allen, although I disagree with this statement. Pam Allen says, Grayson and Ashley have great chemistry. Great is a stretch, to say the least. I think Grayson tries hard. Pay Me says, I've become more invested in Ashley. I like her much better without Andre and Derek. I'm okay with Ashley being that friend who has a good job, great friends, but bad luck with men. I mean, that works for Ashley as a character. I would still rather Ashley have a different storyline that isn't just a relationship. Pamey also said, is Vanessa going to be Joey's downfall? He's getting too weak for me. Martin compared him to the neighborhood gossip. Martin did compare him to Anastasia. And they do make Joey weak with Vanessa. And it's honestly, that relationship has destroyed both characters on this show. Because Vanessa is truly unwatchable. And then Joey is supposed to be the big, bad, grandpa gangster, but always giving in to Vanessa. And I think that's what the writers think is so compelling about that couple, is that Joey is soft for Vanessa. Please. Gag us all. Tiffany Collins said, today's episode felt like it was just thrown together. That was Friday's episode she was talking about. And I agree. Doc Backhand brought up a good point here, saying, I'm starting to believe that there is so much trash and grandpa gangster scenes to appease the CBS management and get a renewal. So now can we move along to the interesting characters? I can see that as a thing, because during this time last year is when the show was wondering if they were going to get a renewal. And I'm sure they do want to appease CBS's new owners that love the whites. So there's so much Vanessa and grandpa gangster scenes to say, hey, look, we have white characters front and center. But they got that renewal already. So I do hope we can move on to better characters and storylines. Let's see, one or two more. Big Bank New York said, Lynette was a big loss. She brought great spice and drama. Big Bank New York, you have great taste, because it's true. Lynette was a big loss, and I don't think enough people realized it before it happened, how much energy the character of Lynette brought to this show. Even though she wasn't on a whole lot, she did bring a good energy. And since she has been gone, it's been the most boring episodes. Last comment, Denisa Dillinger said, Jacob is a horrible undercover cop. Has he informed his father, the police chief, about this trouble? You're correct about your statement about Jacob. This storyline has showed us that Jacob is a terrible cop, period. And no, he has not told the higher up, his father, the troubles going on in this case, like, he should inform the higher up. And that's about it this week. Thank you all for your comments. I'm still going to try to do the watch-alongs this coming week because it helps me be more entertained while watching these boring episodes that they're giving us, especially since we only have 3 episodes this week. Tomorrow is the only day I'm a little up in the air of if I will do a watch-along, but I'm going to try. And then Thursday and Friday, I should be able to do both those days. So yeah, I'll see some of you for the watch-alongs, and I'll see the rest of you for my reviews in the evenings.